Hello everybody, Arturo Johnson here, and I just wanted to share this really quick video with you. I've been having a lot of discussions with life insurance agents, and I had a few of them just come into the group. And yesterday I had a great conversation with a gentleman, and we discussed a couple of things. And so I just wanted to share some principles that we teach inside our program, just to really drive home a couple points that I noticed. And so we wanted to talk about using leads or lead sources or using lead vendors to grow your business. And at Arturo Johnson Consulting, we don't buy leads. We teach our agents how to generate leads themselves. And by no means am I against using leads or buying leads, but I just wanted to share with you a really quick scenario that we were able to break down and really get an understanding, and I thought it was very powerful, so I wanted to share that with you all today. And so this is buying leads and then generating your own. And this diagram is supposed to be an apartment, and this is supposed to be a house. And what I tried to convey to the gentleman that I spoke with over the phone is that buying leads is great because it does two things. It solves a problem really quickly, and it allows you to be able to sustain that, to grow your business, and then figure out the rest as you go. And we correlated that to renting. And renting is the same, within, a couple days, if you have a job, the proper, identification, and you qualify, then you can get an apartment within 48 hours. And so that's the plus of renting. But the downside is that you don't establish any equity, you don't own it, it's not yours. And so over time, the cost that you pay to rent is simply gone, and you never get that back. And over here with owning a home, it takes a little bit longer. You got to go through a lot of paperwork. You got to prove your income. They want to see your bank statements. You got to jump through a bunch of hoops. But the good news is that this is an asset that goes on your balance sheet. You immediately gain equity, and that grows over time, as well as you own it. And so it's great leverage for you to be able to get another one the next time. So there's a million things that go into to buying a home and owning a home. But for this purpose, this is what we want to identify as buying leads and then generating your own. And so when you're buying leads, you're renting leads that may or may not be good from a lead vendor, and it's up to you to close them and to sift through all of the leads and find the quality ones. Where if you generate your own leads, obviously you know exactly who you serve before you get started. You would make sure they were highly qualified, specifically to tailor to what you were trying to accomplish. And then you wouldn't be having to pay that rent to the lease company. And so I just wanted to share with you two scenarios. And just to kind of tie back into this, as agents and advisors, we teach the same thing, right, when we're explaining life insurance, right? Term is pretty much like renting, and then whole life is kind of like owning, and we go into those details. And so today I wanted to share a scenario of Agent A and Agent B, and just really kind of walk you through kind of two different schools of thought here, because I thought this would be helpful. So bear with me. I do have some notes here. I want to make sure I got these numbers right and everything, so this can be crystal clear for you guys. And so here, we have Agent A. And Agent A purchases leads. And he purchases about 1,500 leads per week, which comes out to roughly about, $6,000 per month. All right. So we're buying leads from a vendor for $1,500 per week, which comes out to about $6,000 per month, and that would get you about between 60 and 100 leads. And so what we'll do is we'll make that 80 leads for simplicity purposes. So we're spending $6,000 a month to get 80 leads, which breaks down to about 20 leads per week. All right. And so, the average closing ratio we'll say is probably right around 70%. So we're doing about 12 apps per week out of those 20. Out of 20, which will equal 70%. All right. And this is getting us right at about $20K per week. All right. And so essentially what we're doing is we're spending $6,000 to make $20,000. Now that's pretty good, because that is a 3.3 to 1 ROI, and so that's great. And obviously, with the closing ratios, there's a bunch of different factors in here. But for simplicity purposes, that's a great bargain. You put in $1 and you get out $3, and so this is a great model to have. And so if you are doing this is great. I'm not knocking it, but what are some of the downsides to this? Well, one of the downsides that I see is that this is a huge expense here. And so when I multiply that out over a year, that's a huge number. $72,000 of fixed expense. And so when you think about, $6,000 a month, to make hopefully $240,000, right? So that's a fixed expense. Now, whether you hit this number or not, this number is still going to be $6,000 a month. So what happens there? Well, this becomes risky. And why is this risky? Well, one is because this number here is not guaranteed. And why is this not guaranteed? Well, it's because what happens if you don't close at that 70%? Well, you pay it up front for the leads. So if you don't close them, that's up to you. And some of the leads could be bad in there. You have to call a bunch of leads to get to those 12 applications, and sometimes it may be 16 of them you might go through, they may be bad, and then the law of averages may just play in your favor, where you go into a household and the husband and the wife need policies, and you come out of there with 4 to 6 apps to get to your number. So there's no guarantee with those leads. Also, another risk could be this lead vendor could just simply run out of leads, and I've had this happen tons of times. It goes up and down, right? You find a good lead vendor, and then they tell you, oh, I don't have any more in your area right now, or the cost of the leads go up, and you don't have any control over those. And so all of this plays into a factor, not to mention that upfront cost. So you're taking on all the risk, and you're having to do all the work. this over here. And so this presents itself as a cash flow problem. And so why is that a cash flow problem? Because at some point, whether you hit this number or not, when you get through the leads, you got to get some more. So you're going to have to reinvest some of this money back into getting leads over and over and over again. And if any of these things happen, then, some complications could arise. And, if you're having a cash flow problem and then all of a sudden one of these bad leads, is a chargeback, then you really got a huge cash flow problem. And then that affects the amount of leads that you have. And so this model is great, but there is some pieces in here where you're at risk for sure. And so, guys that are doing this are probably doing great, but there's definitely a huge risk and a huge downside in doing it this way. And one last thing that I just thought about, and the last thing is that guys are still making dials in between here. So not only are you spending a lot of time driving back and forth, and you're spending a lot of money up front, but a lot of guys are still making dials in between the calls to make the ends meet. So not only are you spending a lot of capital, you're spending a lot of time, but you're also putting a lot of effort because you're still making 100, 200 dials a day in between appointments. And so, that's this model. And so here I want to talk about Agent B. And so Agent B installs a system to generate its own leads. And so what's different about this? Well, they go ahead and use the upfront cost of about $5,000 to get this system installed in their business, but it generates leads at $10. And so, there's a little bit more upfront cost, but then once they get this up and running, they're able to really get leads at a cheaper rate here. I think this is about $75 a lead. This one is at about $10 per lead. And so now those 20 leads that you need per week are only going to cost you $200. So over here, you're getting the same amount of leads, but they're only going to cost you $200. And so, we're spending $800 total for 80 leads per month. So over here, we're spending $6,000 for 80 leads, and here we're spending $800 for 80 leads. And so in month one, your upfront cost is, to get the system set up plus your leads. And so you're looking at $5,800 to make $20,000. And so in month one, you're going to spend $5,000 to get the system set up, and then you're going to spend $800 to get your 80 leads to make your $20,000. And that's just in month one with the upfront cost, which is still, just a little $200 less. Well, 20 leads less over here. So you could get 100 leads over here with this method over here. And that's just in month one. But look what happens in month two. So now that you have the system set up, you're only spending $800 to make that next $20,000. So in 2 months, you spent $66 as opposed to spending $12,000 over here. And so, So what's the pluses of doing it this way? Well, one, the immediate one is that you can reinvest, your savings from here into here if you want to generate more leads, or if you have a team, you can reinvest to get them some success, to get them off to a fast start, which will help grow your agency really quickly. But also with having that system in place, you can learn how to close in one call, in one 45-minute call. And so that's another reason that the system is important, is because you also will have different assets. So now you're able to spend less money and spend less time and not have to drive back and forth, and you can close qualified prospects in one 45-minute call. And so what does this allow you to do? This allows you to have more time freedom, more flexibility. It allows you to be a better leader by production. It also allows you more time to work on your business as opposed to in your business. And now you have time to recruit and train. And the best thing this does is it solves the cash flow problem. Because now you have a ton of tools to use to reinvest into your business, to grow, to get an office, to really kind of grow your business. And this system here reaches between 3,000 to 5,000 people per day. And over here, you're calling, 20 leads plus dialing. People are making 200 to 400 phone calls in one day, when you can have a system over here, reaching out to up to 5,000 people in a day. And what this will allow you to do is to free up about, let's see where I can put this. This will allow you to free up about, so with using this model here, you're able to free up about $56,600 just by switching to this model here. And so I hope this was helpful. I tried to make this really simple. You may have to go back and watch it again, but I just want to leave you with a couple of thoughts. There's two schools of thought, and neither one of them are wrong. But I wanted to share two different models that we have here. Buying leads are great, but there's also a way where you can, have complete control over the leads that you generate. And there's a saying that, as an advisor, the person who manages the money manages the relationship. And as agents, we know that the person who controls the leads controls everything. So I hope this was helpful. Thank you.